So happening, plebs, coming out today with a discussion video, just a super quick one because I just got back from work and I'm really tired. But it's a subject that's been on my mind for a while now, and it's something that I really want to talk about. And if this gets popular, and if a lot of people will enjoy this video and partake in the discussion, etc., then I'll follow up with one of the perhaps notorious stickmen animations that I concoct in MS Paint. But basically go into a lot more detailed structure, so I don't really have too much of a structure here for this discussion. I'm kind of just rambling and speaking as things come to my head. So if you enjoy this discussion at the end, then let me know, and I'll definitely consider revisiting it in the future with a lot more in-depth points and stuff. So I'm requesting that a lot of other YouTubers partake in this discussion and talk about what I'm about to mention today. So really the topic of my discussion today is competitive YouTubing sucks. Being good at the game, or trying to get better at the game, or trying to help people get better at the game on YouTube is shit for the most part. Entirely, actually, to be quite honest with you. Now I got a couple of points why I think this is, and that's it's really, I don't mean this as an insult to anyone at all. I don't mean this. It's the reasons I'm about to explain are actually not because of any particular one reason. As I'll explain. So the point number one at why I think YouTubing, competitive YouTubing sucks, is because there's no audience for it. There's just no one. The demographic on YouTube is very different to the competitive demographic in general. The average player who wants to get better at Yu-Gi-Oh! And is smart about it isn't going to go on YouTube. They're not going to go on Asian Eyes' channel. They're not going to go on Cyber Knight's channel. They're not going to go on Mega Capital G's channel, or any of the top known YouTubers, because these channels don't help you get better. They're entertainment. They're there to entertain you, and that's what YouTube is primarily, and that's not a bad thing. That's for entertainment. But in terms of an actual strategy game known as Yu-Gi-Oh!, you'd think that the vast majority of the content for a competitive strategy card game would be competitive strategies. It's not. It's pack openings. But that's a different discussion. That's not really what I want to focus on. So that's essentially my point number one. There is no audience for it. So if you come into the scene of YouTube and you want to make a competitive channel, you're fighting a losing battle. You're climbing uphill against it's really late. My brain's blanking. You're climbing up a big hill, and it's just really big, and it's hard. That's what I'm saying. So an example I would give would be your target audience isn't there. It's like trying to sell high-end luxury cars out of the East End of Glasgow, and for those of you who don't know what the East End of Glasgow is, it's really poor. It's poverty. So do you understand that what I'm trying to say? You don't have the target audience there, it'd be like trying to open up some kind of a wine brewery in Saudi Arabia. They're not allowed alcohol there, so you're not going to make any profit for selling your wine. Do you know what I'm saying? That there is no audience for your product, if you know what I mean. And that's really what you can kind of think of what your channel is. It's like you're trying to deliver a product to people. You're trying to give your image out there, but there's no demand for what you're offering. You're trying to make a competitive channel. You're trying to help people get better. You're trying to talk about strategies and competitive stuff and discuss the meta. People just aren't interested on YouTube. Where do people go to get better? Where do people talk about competitive things? It's something that I'm going to mention for my fourth point, why I think it just doesn't exist. But generally, you'd go to somewhere like Duelist Grounds, various Facebook groups, and even then, if you check those populations, they're tiny. It's almost as if trying to be good at this game is just a niche thing. It's almost as if being competitive at Yu-Gi-Oh! Is niche. it seems as if the game itself is not designed in such a way that you can that encourages competitiveness. It feels like it's almost as if like Konami are trying to like encourage like, you know, fun and creativity, but at the same time I don't really understand how you can have fun without trying to win. But I mean, that's again, playing for fun and playing to win is a whole different, you know, kind of subject. But basically, point number one, there's no audience for competitive Yu-Gi-Oh. Second point I wanted to make, competitive YouTube sucks as well because of the fact that most of us suck as well. Most YouTubers, quite frankly, are bad at this game. I don't think that's surprising to anyone. There's very few YouTubers who have a single top to their name. The best YouTuber would probably be like John from House of Champs, who has like a YCS win. And even then, that was many years ago. So really, for the most part, YouTubers are nobodies. I'm just some idiot from Scotland with a camera. Simo, I believe he doesn't have a top. Nim doesn't have a top. Alinthio has like a nationals top of the UK, and like that's it in like 10 years or something. Cordero has like one top. All the big YouTube don't even need to go there. Don't get me wrong. I don't even need to mention the tops of people like Cyberknight, Simply Unlucky, and Asian Eyes. Yeah, they don't have tops. Let's put it that way. Again, I don't mean this as an insult. I have none. I'm not saying I'm any better. Please don't think that's what I'm not throwing shade at anyone. It's just a matter of it's just a matter of fact that YouTubers literally just started as nobodies from the very beginning. From the day we started at 0 subs, we didn't have anything going for us to begin with. All we had was our creativity. We didn't have a name backing us, like House of Champs, for example. He had the advantage of Billy Break kind of just like being the face of the channel. But for the most part, we didn't have anyone that, you know, it's been tough out here in the struggle, man. All we got is my camera and my script and my microphone and my Sony Vegas. Oh, it's a struggle, man. You know what I'm saying? So why is that relevant? Because this is my second point. If it wasn't very clear, if you want to get better at this game, if you want to become a good painter, then you go to a painter and they teach you. You go to painting classes, you immerse yourself amongst other painters, etc. If you want to learn about medicine, you go to med school. You don't go to law school. And that's kind of how YouTube works because, as I said on point number one, the demographic is really, really different to competitive players. Like being competitive online, being a competitive player means that your online presence is generally just not there. That's really all I have to say for the second point. We don't have anything that we can offer you, basically. There's nothing we can like really say or do that can like, you know, encourage you to get better, because we don't have anything to prove for ourselves. If you're a competitive player and you want to get better at this game, then you're smart enough to realize that your way of getting better is not going to be done on YouTube. You're not going to get better watching us, you know, for the most part. Some people, some of us have been doing a pretty good job of this. You know, I have a bunch of talk shows that I've done with some amazing players. I've been really privileged to have them, so you guys can learn a little bit that way. House of Champions has spoken to a lot of people. He's got Billy Break on his channel. That and enough, you know, is good. But that's just two of us, really. Card guys have their own channel, but again, for the most part, their channel is not really discussions. It's not really out there to help you get better. It's kind of just like we're mostly just journalists. Really, that's how I feel like we are as competitive YouTube channels. So that's my second point. There's just not enough specialists out there. I don't know. Maybe if Patrick Hoban hypothetically made his own YouTube channel, he would overtake fucking Asian Eyes like overnight, maybe. But for the most part, we've never had a super well-known household name make a YouTube channel and help people and get better. So we could theorize just how, you know, involved online competitive players are. And as I said in point number one, the competitive players aren't involved online at all. So on to my third point. YouTubers, we can sort of help to an extent and help people get better and help people get involved with the competitive community. I think House of Champions is really the best example of this. All the different talks and stuff he's done, the deck profiles, the journalism style of reporting of the game, really good stuff. Really good stuff. But again, that's just 1, 2, 3 channels maybe at best that do this kind of thing. So that's why YouTube kind of sucks, because there's only so much you can say about Yu-Gi-Oh! There's only so much you can say about getting better. We could make videos about technical play, about how to build a deck correctly, these kind of things, but that just goes back to point number 2. Why the fuck are you gonna listen to me when it comes to building decks? I've done nothing in this game. Why are you gonna listen to like X YouTuber who's got 1 top? Why are you going to listen to Y YouTuber who has no tops? Why are you going to listen to fucking this guy who has no top? It's like, you know, in the end, like, sure, you can take our advice and it will be for an entertaining video, but all these videos tend to get the lowest views. Doesn't really help grow for the most part unless there's a big household name there. And because we're nobodies in the competitive scene, who cares what we have to say? And on to my final point, why the biggest reason why I think competitive Yu-Gi-Oh just can't be here on online is the idea of secrets. There can't be secrets when you're being a YouTuber. If I want to discuss upcoming formats and upcoming YCS, and it's even affected me personally, like my friends sometimes don't tell me about tech cards and stuff like that because they're afraid I'll make a video of it. So if you want to be super competitive, you know, you have to stay informed with the current metagame and stuff like that, and you have to try and make videos on it. But if you have to keep secrets for events, and there's always an event, there's always something coming up, there's always an event, there's always something to play, there's always like something to prepare for, so we need to keep secrets. So what's the what am I meant to talk about on YouTube if I can't tell you about this crazy new combo, if I can't tell you about this crazy new interaction or this new deck, or what am I supposed to report to you? I can't tell you anything. Shit, I dropped my phone. So that is why I think this is the biggest reason why competitive YouTube sucks, because of the fact that, yeah, we have to hide everything if we want to really do really well in an event, you know. It's just how it is. Like we, you know, I get I'm really honored to be part of CCG's deck discussions and their building their preparations for an event, but that would be that would be the point of me being there if I would just like leak all their secrets and post all their theory onto my YouTube. I probably wouldn't even get that many views. That's the funny thing. That's actually the funny thing. These guys take 3 out of 4 top cut spots at YCS, and if I was to like leak their whole like deck theory like 2 days before an event on YouTube and be like, oh, this is the best deck to play, probably wouldn't even get that many fucking views. That's why it's funny, because they're just going back to point number 1. There's no demographic, there's no audience. Like people just don't care generally, you know, for the most part. Like people just don't care. Like, oh, you have a deck that's going to win the next YCS. Does it work? Can I play it with Blackwings? Like, does it work in my Neos deck? No? Well, cool, I guess. Meta pleb. That's the attitude for the majority of the YouTube community. That's not a bad thing, you know, but it's just different. It's just different. It's just trying to mix oil and water, and it just doesn't work. So I've rambled on enough. It's been like 14 minutes or something. I've said more than enough that I've had to say, and hopefully I can get other YouTubers into this discussion. If you're a YouTuber, I'd love to hear your opinions on this thought. So again, to summarize my points, number 1, there's no target audience for competitive Yu-Gi-Oh on YouTube. And online in general. And again, the keyword is competitive. There's lots of Yu-Gi-Oh players on YouTube. There's not a lot of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh players. There's lots of semi-competitive players, but not like people who really want to do well at events, because they're going to go elsewhere. That's what I'm trying to say. If you want to do well in an event, you're just going to go elsewhere. So you're not even on YouTube unless you just want to watch funny videos, you know? So that's number 1. There's no audience for competitive Yu-Gi-Oh on YouTube. Number 2, we all suck generally. So there's no specialists to help you get better. And point number 3, we can kind of help you to an extent, but because of the fact that, sorry, where was I going with it? And point number 3, we can kind of help, but we're going back to point number 2, we're not specialists, so we can't like tell you much that you wouldn't already know. And even then, if we were to tell you about technical plane deck building, that can be done in one video, and then we'd have nothing more to talk about, really, for the most part, in general. It would change format to format, but then that goes on to point number 4. If I've got events coming up, I don't want to tell you like how to play this deck better. I don't want to help you because I'm trying to do better myself, you know? So secrets prevent us from actually giving you active, like, amazing tech ideas and stuff for the future and this event and this deck coming up and all these crazy combos and stuff like that, you know? So we can't tell you, basically. And that's basically my 4 points. So if you're a YouTuber, please do respond to this. I'd love for you guys to make video responses, and I'd love to hear what your opinions are. And yeah, in the comment section, let me know what you think. Why do you think competitive Yu-Gi-Oh? So, do you think competitive Yu-Gi-Oh is good on YouTube? That's what if you think competitive Yu-Gi-Oh is good on YouTube, please like show me some example. I'd love to know why you think that. And yeah, we can go from there. So thanks everyone for watching, and see you next time.